And here we have the most important part that we needed to see in the final stretch of the Attack on Titan story. For those who didn't hear already, I already made a video on it, but we are getting a part 3 next year, probably 8 episodes given the fact that there's 9 more chapters left to adapt. Mappa has been adapting about 1 chapter per episode, more action-oriented, 8 episodes just seems like the right pacing. But I think in terms of the anime watchers, they definitely had a bit of a different reaction to Eren's character than the manga readers. Given the month-long break, given we didn't have voice acting, it's easy to interpret different actions than maybe intended. With voice acting, you can hear the doubt in a character's voice, and you can really get to understand them on a deeper level, which is why a majority of anime fans who'd never read the manga didn't think Eren was a sociopath who was just simply going to flip a switch and kill the world and not feel anything. But an episode like this is very important because it comes around the chapter 117 area. It's in that margin. I don't know if I got the right one or not, but it's in that. So they've been saving it for a while because some people are like, hey, they adapt page by page, chapter by chapter. We skipped a large portion of one of these chapters. But most of us who read the manga knew they were planning to use it as the final push when Eren's rumbling finally reaches the lands of Marley and things like that. And to really see Eren's psyche, and it all boils down to Eren being a consistent character. That's something that may rub some manga readers the wrong way, but it is without a doubt a true fact. Eren is someone who values freedom, he values his people, but he also isn't a heartless bastard. When you see them all get on the lands, they're responding to ice cream, things they've never had. Someone being discriminated against as like, oh yeah, he's a pickpocket, but now they're gonna basically hang him around a noose and basically make him an example. Eren's not heartless to the point of thinking, I want to kill these people. He's firmly convinced this is the only way. And I like the reflection of Mikasa because she says, I wonder, would things have turned out different if I would have said anything other than what I said? Because he asks her, what am I to you? Am I family? Am I a person who saved you? And you see her blush, and you immediately know what that means. You know how she feels about Eren, but in embarrassment, she says family. And for Eren, he's been going with the flow with these memories ever since he kissed Historia's hand. And since then, he's seen what the future will be. He is convinced there is one path and one path only. And for him, if it comes down to it, the destruction of his people or the destruction of everyone else, he's going to choose the destruction of everyone else. It's not that he's a murderous bastard, it's not that he wants to kill, it's he firmly believes it's the only way, because every time something pops up that he's seen before because of the future memories, he knows it is the only path forward. And I love how this episode really puts the emphasis on that, to make sure that if there was any doubt that Eren is someone who completely changed, flipped the switch, screw the world, they were mean to me, they killed our people, they discriminated against us, they launched Colossals. That's not simply why he's doing it. He understands that there is many groups, many cultures, many countries that are just like them, that are no different than them. But unfortunately, he believes, and is firmly convinced, destruction of the world is the only way to keep his section of the world safe. And that is so important to make Eren's consistency as a character feel like he's developed, but never removing the core thing that made him who he is. And I love seeing multiple moments that really put the emphasis on how much he understands that he could be friends with many groups outside those walls. Look at the immigrants, right, who are having this party, and then eventually they bring their own alcohol. It's this grand old time. They're having a great time. We know that Eren is no different than the Eren currently launching the rumbling. It's just the mistakes of many different people over many different generations that has led him to believe that, unfortunately, bearing the history is the only way to prevent the destruction of his people. Historia doesn't agree to it, Mikasa doesn't agree with it, Armin doesn't agree with it. And for Eren, throughout that journey, as we see, he's hoped things would go different, but they didn't. And that's when we reach the rumbling. We see the Colossal Titans swimming, which I thought was a genius way to showcase how they crossed the river, the ocean, I guess I should say, so quickly. Though I wasn't expecting the brutality of the colossal steam when they approached the boats. They didn't even need to trample them. They literally burned them to ash. And then to see the soldiers run because there's no hope. If that initial assault wasn't enough to stop the Colossals, how can you expect to stop Eren? When you see a Colossal Titan, we know how big that is. We don't need to see them in the terms of a giant warship to a Colossal, but it does put into perspective how screwed they are when thousands of those things are walking towards you, or swimming, which is even more frightening. But then when they pan up and you see Eren, this bony skeleton, leading the charge, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do, and running in fear is the only thing I think any soldier would do in that particular moment, because there's nothing like it to compare it to in our own reality. This episode did a hell of a good job, especially with the music choice, because for the most part there wasn't music up until the ocean scene when you really start seeing the charge. And seeing the classic pieces play and just how it does such a different thing than when it was originally used back in Season 1 was just such a great touch by Mappa. And I have to commend both Eren and Mikasa in terms of their vocal performances, and remembering how I felt initially reading these moments in the chapters, and thinking pretty sure of where they were going, but having such a different feeling seeing how they portrayed him with the anime, and that's why the anime reactions to this part of the story is vastly different than the divided portions when it came to the manga, because with voice acting, directing, knowing exactly where the story's gonna go, you can pick and choose where to place certain chapters to make the emphasis and the impact that much more compelling. The only thing I am generally interested, I guess I would say, with Part 3 is, are they gonna give a different opening? Because truthfully, the rumbling opening is probably without a doubt like the perfect song in terms of finishing up an Attack on Titan opening. I don't think they can one-up themselves from the rumbling. Then again, I've thought that about previous Attack on Titan openings. But I think updating visuals, of course, they should do that with Part 3's opening, but I think the rumbling song should stick. I think it really does match what it needs to, and if they somehow try to top themselves, I mean, I'm not going to be disappointed, but I would imagine it would be similar to Season 1 first opening and Season 1 second opening. I feel like even though it probably wouldn't be that drastic of a tonal shift with a song, I do think there would be a divided reaction, and if anyone remembers the reaction, people loved the first opening. At the time, they were shitting on the second opening. Over time, people came to appreciate it. But I think it would be in their best interest to keep the rumbling. That's just my opinion. If they give me another opening, I'm not going to be complaining. But I think in terms of setting up the rumbling every single week for a couple of months, they already have the best song to choose from. But I do hope to hear maybe a couple extra songs at the final stretch of this anime, because the OST choices that Map has been doing, new and old, have been fantastic. Part 3 is going to be insane, and given the taste they just experienced with the rumbling here, I am very, very impressed and pleased and excited to see how they're going to conclude my favorite story of all time next year. Thoughts if you have any on this latest episode? What did you think? Favorite moment if you have any? How excited are you for Part 3 next year? Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.